26-year-old mum. I work full-time, and this year I ran Manchester Marathon.
I'm not saying she can't improve, but to call herself a runner is kind of a misnomer. Coach Greg, in today's video, it's on none other than Amber Metcalf. Perhaps she's a black natural athlete just like DJ Metcalf in the NFL. She has amazing genetics. Look at this specimen, a marathon running phenom. And so she doesn't care that she's 150 pounds overweight. Nothing can stop her from her goal of being a marathoner. I'm going to be poking fun at her just a little bit during this video, but I commend her for trying. In case none of you have ran a marathon before, it's actually very hard. Walking it, well, it's not all that hard for perhaps you or for I, but for people who are morbidly obese, it's hard. And she is morbidly obese. People are loving this woman because she's inspiring people that you don't need to be in shape to run a marathon. This is where I need to push back a little. She never ran the marathon, she walked it. I'm sorry. There was a section during the marathon where she jogged for a little bit, but essentially she walked a marathon. Now, I'm not saying that that isn't good. Doing a lot of cardio, for example, it took her 7 hours and 21 minutes to run the marathon. Walk it. And so you got to give her credit for trying. And so you can see it's a 10-minute and 21-second kilometer. If it was a 10-minute and 21-second mile, I would have said you ran the marathon. And so I do believe that most people in the world know that a marathon, it's about 26 miles. Hardly anyone knows that it's 42.44 kilometers. And so almost everyone talks about, hey, did you run a 5-minute mile, a 6-minute mile, a 7-minute mile? And in case you're wondering, the world record was just broken. They finally broke the 2-hour barrier, an hour and 59:30. And so the men and women, frankly, who win these marathons could have ran the entire marathon, ran back to the start line, and ran to the end yet again, and applauded her for her when she's finished. Guys, it's very, very slow. Now, I'm not saying she can't improve, but to call herself a runner is kind of a misnomer. It would be kind of like me saying that I'm a chef if I eat someone else's cooking. You're not actually doing the thing. And so if you convert it to miles per hour, it's about a 16-minute and 39-second mile. It's walking. Is it impressive to walk for 7 hours? I think for someone this obese, it is. If you've ever gone for a walk, imagine walking for 7 hours. It's tiring. When I was in Vegas with Mepsigram, we walked around all day for about 8 hours, and I noticed that my legs were a little bit sore. And so imagine doing this with a 150-pound backpack full of fat on your back. It's not easy. And so, of course, she didn't run it. You actually think you can be this fat and actually be fit? There's no such thing. And so body positivity, yeah. Listen, if she wants to get fast, if she wants to actually run a marathon, she's never going to do it by practicing, by jogging, and practice makes perfect. No. She needs to lose the weight. She's not even all that slow. There are people finishing this marathon taking far longer. I was watching a woman, she ran 7 marathons in 7 days on 7 different continents. That was pretty impressive. There was an 82-year-old man who was running faster than this, and it was his 4th consecutive time. He was 82. 7 marathons in 7 days in 7 different continents. They're in Antarctica, -20, and running. It's not really impressive to walk for 7 hours once, but for someone this obese, hey, she's doing pretty good. I checked this out just to be sure, and here's the evidence. If she were to lose 150 pounds of body fat, her time would almost automatically be dropped by about 3 hours. That 7-hour and 20-minute time could be roughly 4 hours and 20 minutes without even becoming more fit, just by not having to carry as much poundage across the line. The heavier you are, the harder it is to run. And also, the worse it is for your joints. Now, you might be thinking, it's amazing, run marathons, walk 7 hours each and every day. Walking, when you're morbidly obese, this is healthy. But running isn't healthy for everyone. When you land every single step, you're landing with perhaps double or triple your body weight when you're jogging. And if you're 300 pounds, it's a lot of strain on your joints. And so what I would recommend is she doesn't even run. She's too fat. She should be walking. It would be significantly better.
And I genuinely thought running a marathon required you to just run more and not that actually having to go to the gym and do weights. And then I found out that if you're running and you start aching, it generally means that muscle's probably not strong enough.
And so she was running, jogging, whatever you want to call it, and she noticed that she had a lot of pain, knees, joints, aches, and so on. And so she did some research and said, oh, this is because I'm not strong enough, the hamstrings and the glutes. You need to go to the gym. Now, you need to lose some weight. Lifting more weights is not going to solve all your pains. Your pains come from running when you're too heavy. I used to do triathlons. I competed in running and so on. And when I was running at a svelte 155 pounds, I was told, what is wrong with you? You're way too big to run. 155. Do you know how much poundage that is on your joints? You need to stop lifting so much weights. You need to drop down to max 140. This girl perhaps weighs 300 pounds. And so if I was too heavy to run effectively at 155 pounds, imagine what it's like when you're double that size. Did I listen to that? Of course not. I wanted to bodybuild, and so I kept getting bigger. But then later I got more size on, and I was running at 190. Do you know how much harder it is to run at 190 pounds in comparison to when you're 155? Running is very, very difficult. And so I cannot even fathom me trying to run a marathon being as big as this lady. And so in my mind, I'm picturing if I had to run the marathon with Mepstagram on my back, that would be an equal comparison. And of course, I wouldn't be running it. And so if you lose the weight, it's going to be significantly easier.
26-year-old mum. I work full-time, and this year I ran Manchester Marathon. 12 months ago, I was on the couch, exhausted, scrolling through runners on social media, thinking they were built differently, stronger, fitter, and more disciplined.
They are stronger, fitter, and more disciplined. What are you talking about? I mean, we're going to lie? You think somebody who runs a marathon in 3 or 4 hours isn't more fit than somebody who runs it in 7 hours and 21? Somebody who's been training, if we call it that, for 12 months.
But the truth that no one tells you is they started exactly where you are now.
No, they didn't. They didn't start exactly where you are now. Not everyone that runs marathons starts at 300 pounds. Some of them start, and on day one, they're amazing. I was literally watching a guy, I wish I could remember the name. His first marathon broke 3 hours. They interviewed him. Hey, what time are you going to run? Just under 3 hours. Do you run? No. I just think I'm in shape. Not everyone starts out the same. Some people are built different. And so since that time, he set records for ultra marathons and so on.
I was like, why the hell have I signed up to a marathon? But I kept showing up after bedtime in the dark and in the rain because somewhere along the way, just finishing a run turned into wanting more.
Why do you have to run after bedtime and in the rain? You don't need to run at, for example, 4 in the morning or in the rain in order to improve on running a marathon. She would have ran a way faster marathon if during the entirety of the year she had been eating from my cookbook. Lower calorie recipes, eating in a deficit, and going for walks. That is what we need to do. What you need to work on is dropping your body weight so that you don't have to carry all that extra luggage around the track.
And I'm going to show you step by step how you can go from couch to marathon next year too. Because trust me, if I can do it, so can you.
And so it's called progressive overload. You start out easy. Perhaps you go for a 30-minute walk. You gradually walk longer and longer and longer. You lose weight, and eventually you can even start jogging. That is how you do it.
I thought to train for a marathon, you just had to run more.
Generally speaking, that's what you do. You just run more. Zone 2 cardio, not hard, just medium pace, and you go for longer and longer distances. It's about building up the mitochondria to give you more energy so that you can produce more power for a longer period of time and that you don't burn out. You have to practice. If you don't practice, you're not going to be very fast. And so you need to get the miles in. Weightlifting, it's not really required. If you just run every day, you're probably going to be able to run faster than if, for example, you took 2 days off of the running and you simply went to the gym and did some squats.
My knees hurt, my hips hurt, and my easy runs really weren't that easy.
There's no such thing as an easy run when you're 300 pounds. It doesn't exist. This is an oxymoron. You cannot have those two things in the same sentence. When they say, for example, today's training is going to be an easy day, I want you to do a 10-mile run in zone 2, there is no zone 2 jog. If she's running, she's in zone 5. There's nothing else. And so she can't simply jog in zone 2. Zone 2 is a moderate pace. It's something you can hold for hours.
Even now, I need to start doing more single leg exercises. And don't get me started on core work because I couldn't even plank for 4 seconds.
And so if you can't plank for 4 seconds, it means that you're too heavy. The problem isn't a lack of strength. All of us would struggle to do that if we weighed 300 pounds. You simply need to lose the weight.
It's honestly starting to shock me that I'm already feeling fitter and stronger. I feel like I have more control and less pain the day after.
Absolutely. I'm not trying to discourage her and not go to the gym. She should lift weights. She should try to build more muscle. But the reason she's in pain, the reason she's hurting when she's jogging is because jogging is too difficult at that weight.
You got into Harvard Law?
What, like it's hard?
Yeah, getting into Harvard Law is hard. Walking a marathon in comparison is not. The equivalent would be this: visiting Harvard Law as a friend to someone attending Harvard Law. It's not that easy. You get on a plane and you show up. All you have to do to walk a marathon is register and show up. And if you're not 300 pounds, it's probably going to be easy. And you're going to do it much faster than 7.5 hours. And so I get it. You know, she's rage baiting. I understand how this works. She's poking the bear, knowing that people like myself and others are going to say, you didn't actually run the marathon, you walked it. It isn't harder to walk a marathon than to go to Harvard Law. And so you're inviting the comments. You're in fact inviting the hate. And so I'm certain that her comment section is riddled with people saying, you didn't actually run this. You're not actually in shape. Stop promoting gluttony, blah, blah, blah. Now, hopefully in a year from now, she's lost at least 50 pounds, perhaps 100. And she comes back and she runs a respectable time, under 5 hours. If it's under 5 hours, you at least jogged it. It's not like it's fast, but it's like, it would take about 3 months maybe for the average person to get under 5 hours. It's a 3-month process. And so essentially you've all heard of like a 1 in a million. 1 in a million could perhaps go and run a marathon in 3 hours their first time. 1 in 2, 3 months jogging, you're getting under 5 hours. It's very, very easy. It's not strenuous. It's not hard. And so if you're watching this video right now, 50% chance that in 3 months from now, you could run the marathon in under 5 hours. What percentage of you could probably do it in under 7 hours and 21 minutes? Probably 95%. And so she's not horrendously, horribly awful. She's just not good at all. And so you can see the difference between a man and a woman. For example, if a man posted a time and weighing 300 pounds said, I ran a marathon in 7 hours, all his friends would make fun of him, would put him down and say, bro, it's not impressive. But when it's women, you get comments like this. You slayed that marathon. No, she didn't slay it. She barely completed it with a walk. But that's what women do. Oh, you're a 10. I'm certain if she says, how do I look? Am I beautiful? They'll all say, you are amazing. You are a perfect 10 out of 10. But if I then say to that woman, you look just like her, she'll say, why are you insulting me? Women are quick to compliment each other, but they don't really mean it. Men, they're more truthful. They're more honest. I prefer honesty. That is what I'm doing here. And so you can go and say in the comment section that Coach Greg is just a hater. I'm just a realist. I'm telling you like it is. Use the walking to help you lose the fat, change up your diet, stop eating like an asshole, and lose some weight. And if you need some help for obvious reasons, she could be taking GO2 Max, would improve her cardio. Studies have proven this. The difference it makes is stupendous, especially for people who are morbidly obese. And so of any people that could be using this would help her tremendously. Also, GLP Max, reduce the appetite, the cravings, easier to stick to your diet. Now, if it isn't strong enough, of course you can go to Algorex, you can get GLPs. This is exactly what they're for. You guys have heard of things like Ozempic or Tirzepatide or Retta. Well, if you take a GLP, it can reduce your hunger, get rid of the food noise, and allow you to stick to your diet. And that is what it's for. They didn't actually make Ozempic and Tirzepatide for athletes to lose weight. But they certainly did it for people who are morbidly obese to get them healthy. And so even though there are some negative side effects, I do believe that people who are morbidly obese, there's more reason to use these things than to not. And so if you're interested, Algorex, and use code GREG. Subscribe, click the bell button, comment for the Algo, of course. Watch one of those 2 boops right there to get sponsored, coached, or to sell my stuff in your stores. Click the link right now. And until next time, I am out.